everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Unraveled and Rising, and the place where we talk about the messy parts of life, the healing parts of life, and everything in between. I'm Michelle.
I'm Kimberly.
And I'm Terry.
And around here we believe you don't have to have it all figured out to keep moving forward.
This is a space for honest conversations and real stories.
And the reminder that sometimes everything has to unravel before you can rise.
Yes. So grab your coffee, take a deep breath, and let's get into today's conversation.
Hey, Matt.
Hello.
Right as you take your drink.
Well, you said to drink some coffee, so I did.
I did. I am so grateful to have Matt with us today. A lot of times, I feel like trauma sometimes is not really understood. And Matt has a really amazing story. First, let me introduce him. He's a financial advisor and actually helps people with money mindset. And believe it or not, there's trauma related to money. And so there really is a poverty consciousness, and Matt helps people work through that. And so he's really awesome. I love the way he actually really wants to know what it is you want. It's more about that. What do you want from your life? And so I really appreciate Matt for that. Welcome, Matt.
Thanks, Terry. Glad to be here.
And that's rare for a financial advisor. Our perception of financial advisors or someone that does finance is that they're boring, and this guy sounds like he really cares about Matt. You sounds like you really care about your clients and the people around you and how you can help them better. So I really love that side of it.
He absolutely does. Yeah, his first question is never around money. It's what do you want? Which is really cool. Very different. And so he is here to share a really great story that I just loved hearing the first time he shared it. And I think it's really important. I think sometimes we really underestimate the trauma that we carry for other people, which is known as secondary trauma. And I want him to share his story about his brother. And yeah, Matt, tell us about your brother Brian and his story and how it affected your family.
For sure. And sometimes I do feel a little weird talking about it because it's his story, right? And the more I've gotten to know Terry and her talking about trauma, you realize that it comes in all different forms, right? You have this perception of what trauma means, and I'm like, I don't have trauma. And then you think about the experiences in your life, and it does do that. But it also, I think, drove me to where I am and how I do approach my relationships with clients. So I'm going to try not to get emotional because I do sometimes do that when I talk about BK. But this goes back to when we were younger. My brother experienced a horrific accident. I remember way too much that a 3.5-year-old should remember probably from things that happened. But the day, there was 3 of us, 3 boys at the time. I now have 5 siblings, of course, but my sister Kristen was just born. She was a baby. And we were sled riding down our driveway in a new development that we had recently moved to. And there was development going on up the street. And I remember all too vividly again, but I remember my big brother and I, Dave and I, we were playing, we called it Biff City, where one person would drive down and the other little brothers would tackle each other. But we were taking it easy on BK, and we were, fake tackle, and he'd laugh, and it was super fun. But then a semi-truck was coming down the road entirely too fast at about 50 miles an hour, and he got crushed. It was horrific. And I going through other things right now in my life, people are talking about these stories and how great my parents are. But I remember, the tears of my dad, the horrific screams from my mom when she saw just my dad carrying my little brother, blood coming out of his mouth and everything of that nature. And that was the story, but that was the start of it, right? He had a lot of experiences and intensive care and all of that just, I think, we came closer as a family because of that. I think I am maybe overprotective and have some PTSD with my own young kids now, like when they get too close to the street when cars are driving by, or making sure they wear their helmets when they're on their bikes. Like, I'm very overprotective about stuff like that, but I think it goes back to the experiences that we had as a family growing up. And, it was just, I can talk at lengths about the experiences and the tragedy that Brian went through, because he's the most resilient person I've ever met. He works harder than anybody I know. He's the kindest person. He just wants everybody to be happy when you're talking to them. And for me, that's I try to carry that with me And again, when I talk about like relationships with my clients, I truly do care. I got into profession because I want to help people. And this, what I do now gives me the opportunity to do that.
Yeah. Matt, what was the hardest emotions in that season to process for you as such a young child?
Just understanding what was going on, right? Like BK wasn't home for a long time because he was in the ICU. We'd go visit him, and it was sad. Not only to see your brother that way, but like there was so many kids that had like the burn unit, full body burns, and you're like, oh my goodness, what is happening? And so just trying to process that. I can't think back to my emotions because I was so young, but those are the things that I thought is like, when's BK coming home? And, when are my parents, when are we gonna see my parents and all of those types of things. But that, again, that was just the start of it. He had his entire life. He was in and out of therapy, right? He had brain damage. He still doesn't really have the full use of his left hand, and he walks with kind of a limp because everything was affected by that. And so you still see it to this day. And, we're all there to support him. I also think that I became an overly protective big brother. From a situation like that. I think even my younger sisters became overly protective sisters for Brian because we just cared about him, and just very sad for his life that he has had to endure because of everything. But on the outside of it, he's just an incredible person, and I'm just thankful that he's turned out so awesome.
Yeah. At what point in your life, like now as an adult, did you realize that this was affecting you so much emotionally?
I can't pinpoint the time. I just think it's like maybe high school times was probably when I first started realizing it. Because my brother Dave and I, who are the oldest of the 5, we were always very athletic. We were involved in sports. And there was a time when Brian wanted to be that, and he just couldn't. He has physical limitations, and frankly, right, if he took another hit to the head, it could be catastrophic. Seeing that and then him wanting to just be a part of it was hard, but he also came through stronger than ever. He became a manager for the football team, and taped ankles, and people call it the water boy, but he was part of the team.
Yeah.
I think he didn't just have 4 siblings. He had 70 dudes that looked out for him at school. It's like, oh, you're picking on Brian? You're not picking on Brian. And he has a lot of incredible friends or relationships from that. Like even when I go back home and we run into people, it's like they're so excited to see Brian because he impacted their life.
How old was Brian at the time, or BK?
BK was 2.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just something that you try not to think about, but then also you have to think about. And again, he's an adult now. He graduated college. He has a degree. He has a family. He's got a daughter. And so it's just all super rewarding to see like everything that he's been able to accomplish. And I know that he struggles a lot with confidence and thinking he's not good enough. And that makes me sad because he doesn't see what we see.
I was going to say too, when you're in that situation, and thank you for sharing this because I know that you could tell that it's still emotional for you, so I appreciate it. When that situation happens and then the focus kind of moves to your brother, to BK, and your parents are having to kind of adjust to be able to put the attention there as well. They're going through that secondary trauma and having those things, that emotional response, which can affect also the other kids because they're not not getting the same amount of attention. Not that you wouldn't expect that in this situation. Was that something that was a dynamic in your family with this situation?
I mean, I give my parents so much credit because I don't think any of us ever felt that way.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's funny. I had a very good friend come in from out of town last week, and we were talking about this kind of like, somebody lost their mom, and he's like, oh, I tell my kids all the time that I love them. Like it's in me. And I think back, like, I don't know that there was a day that went by where my parents didn't tell all of us they loved us. Yeah. I know that everybody's situation is not like that because my friend was like, I don't think I ever heard my dad tell me he loved me once. Like he had his ways of saying things, but he never said I love you. But we had so much love in our house, and I'm so grateful for that. Just trying to carry that on. But just, like, I don't know if it, like, from the effects of my parents, like, challenges as a teenager, for example. Like, you'd go out, and no matter what time you came home, my mom was awake waiting for us.
Yeah.
You do that so well with your boys. You're such a great dad.
Oh, I appreciate that, Terry. But like, some of it is like, if that didn't happen, would that have been the case, right? Maybe, because that's the type of person my mom is. But she also gets very nervous about things, and there's funny, like, if somebody was late past curfew, like, next thing you know, you hear the pots and pans banging because she is cleaning out all the cupboards in the kitchen because she was so nervous.
Yeah.
And so I know that it affected them from that perspective, I think. But like, I don't know otherwise.
Yeah.
And so from that side, yes. And again,
That's kind of how it showed up in her, being really protective of all of you guys, that anything else would happen.
correct.
How do you think families maybe misunderstand how much like a traumatic event like that with BK could affect them even more than just the individual themselves?
What misses is like, you still have a life to live. You still have things that you have to do. And so, like, that type of resilience, and I think my grandfather, prime example, like, he was one that always told us he loved us, but he was a very hard-nosed guy, very resilient, but I think he instilled that in his kids as well. It's like, and I've heard many aunts and uncles say this, it's like, you deal with the cards that you're dealt.
Yeah.
And so I think my parents had that mindset where maybe they didn't let us know how much it was affecting them from that side, because it was like, we have 5 kids, we have to deal with this, we don't have a choice. And so outside of that, like, I think that was their mindset throughout our whole life.
And the fact that, at least from what I'm hearing, they're still together, your parents, right?
100%.
Because things like that often rip
Yeah.
marriages apart. So the fact that they're
Says a
able
lot.
to, yeah, it really does.
Yeah, they've been together for a long time.
Really amazing.
And to
to
grow together through something like that, really.
Because you're right, like the death of a child or something
Oh,
like
yeah.
that, it
Or- yeah.
often they don't. I mean, the statistics
Right.
show that they don't often
Families
stay
apart.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's really hard for
Yeah.
people to overcome something like that. So that speaks a lot of how resilient they are.
Right.
Yeah, just resilience, love. I mean, I have so much respect for them.
Yeah.
Love, such an interesting word, right? I mean, I feel like everything that we go through in life and just life in itself comes back to love.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, just
back to the
loving
heart.
other people and just, yeah.
And gratitude.
And if you don't get the love, you search for the love.
Yes.
Sometimes in not
the
great,
wrong
not good
places.
ways.
Not the
Yeah.
best places.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But I think it's really interesting how all the conversations we've had, how you started recognizing that even within your own kids, and how the protection is still there.
Yes.
Sometimes maybe overly protective. Sometimes maybe they learn words that they shouldn't learn at a young age.
Didn't we all?
Exactly.
But I think that's a major reason behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah, riding bikes, and it's like, dude, you can't just cross the street. Like, what are you doing? And might a curse word slip out there here and there, because to me that's absolutely terrifying.
In that moment, that probably brings up that experience.
100% it does.
Yeah. And just recognizing that,
And me, when I was younger, a trauma nurse, I mean, my kids, boy, oh boy, weren't allowed to go on trampolines, you know what I mean, the helmets, because you see this stuff happen to these kids and these families, and it's like, not letting that happen.
And funny you mentioned the trampolines. We weren't allowed to have those either.
Yeah.
My mom worked in a same-day surgery facility.
Yep.
And majority of the injuries were kids coming in of popping ACLs and things from being on those trampolines. Yep.
Kids too. Nope.
Bouncy
Bouncy house at best.
They're like
that's it.
they're wearing pads when they go outside.
Roller skating.
Well, it's like, oh, you have these walls and you're not going to fall off. It's like, the accidents aren't when you fall off. It's when
Exactly.
you're on the trampoline.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember being on a trampoline and I was like jumping with a bunch of friends when we were in elementary school. It was at a birthday party and we were jumping up and I just happened to be off rhythm of what they were.
Yeah.
And I was on the tramp and when they came down, I flew up, came down and busted my ankle.
Yeah.
So yeah, 100%.
Trampolines are out.
Yeah. It's so true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But try not to be too overprotective.
Any trampoline manufacturers listening to this, don't start hating. Don't start hating on us. Because I'm sure there's a ton listening, you know.
Yeah. Where does your brother BK live now?
He's still back in Cleveland.
Okay.
He's the one sibling that's still there. I have two in Chicago, and then my sister and her husband live out here with us, or near us, and then obviously Dawn and I and our kids.
Does he come to visit often?
You know, he came to visit once when Leo was born, but he works super hard, and again, just I think earning the income that he wants is a challenge, right? Mm-hmm. And so he's always working, right? Yeah. He has 3 jobs right now. Just because it's hard to, it would be hard for him to have a sales job where he can earn a substantial amount of money. So he has, he does social work and helps the elderly. He's very much a giving back person. But as you guys know, that is not a high income type of career. And so he works so hard, and it's just really hard for him to take that time for himself. Yeah. Because BK is always trying to prove something to somebody, which I love, but I also hate, because it affects him in ways that I don't think he realizes. Just always trying to prove that I can be independent. We're like, BK, we know you can be independent. We've seen it your whole life. You gotta have more confidence in yourself. I encourage him when he goes into job interviews for when he wants to get promotions. I'm like, Brian, you need to own this. You are who you are. Talk about your accident. Anybody else that is in competition with you has not had to go through those types of life experiences. Right. Without a doubt. It proves your resilience. It proves your work ethic. It proves everything of the person you are today, and you should talk about it. Yeah. He doesn't. I don't know if he feels it's a pity. Yeah. Or what. But I think every time we talk and he's asking me questions about interviews and stuff, it's own it, dude. Yeah. You are who you are because of that. Right. And people will recognize the person that they're going to bring onto their team. Yeah. And so
I think you said so much in that just now that I'm like, oh my gosh. Kimberly and I are nurses, and so oftentimes we kind of are drawn to that giving type of environment and giving back, because I say this now because I've learned a lot about myself, but it really was that validation. Yeah. This is something that I'm getting every single day. Someone's validating me for the care that I give, or the just the being able to be there emotionally for them, and just feeling
the instant gratification.
I was just gonna say, you feel the dopamine hit right away.
Yeah.
And so I can relate with your brother in that. But it's very, very hard for us to step out of that sometimes and actually admit to ourselves that we need to care for ourselves. Yeah. It's really easy to care for others, and not so easy to care for ourselves.
Yeah. Or we even talked about the fact that we realized we became nurses because we weren't cared for, right? So we wanted them to care for others, to fill that hole for us.
Yeah, me and Kimberly, have a similar story in the fact that, we were emotionally giving to our mothers very young. Mm-hmm. So we didn't get that really great attachment that you need as a child because of, for my case, my mom just struggling with mental health things in her life, and then going through a divorce when I was really young. Mm-hmm. So she was dealing with all of that, and now going through my own divorce and realizing the impact of that in one's life, I can understand what she was going through and how she just didn't have the capacity to give that back to us as such young children. But we go seeking for that.
Yep.
For that
your brother's
part of our part.
Yeah, and he feels less than, I feel like, a lot of times, which again makes me super sad for him, because he's not.
Right. No.
So what did you have to do for yourself when you started recognizing this kind of secondary trauma coming up for you in your adult life? Did you have to go through some sort of healing process, or did you do something to try to help yourself? Or did you just deal with it on your own? How did you manage it? Again, back to grandpa, right? You deal with the hands you're dealt. And for me, it wasn't about me. Even though, I talk about, I've never talked about it this much in the past, my whole life that I have in the past couple of years, because of forums like this and knowing Terry and all of that. But it was never about me. It was about BK and how can we help BK? How can I protect BK? And all of that. And so the answer is nothing, because it wasn't about me. And that's how I just felt for that. You just separated it.
yeah, it's like, what can I do to help you, Kay? What advice can I give? How can I be a big brother? And not what can I do for me to help overcome his trauma. And so like that was just the mindset that I always had. It's just,
I love that because you didn't see it as anything bad. You've actually seen it as it's really created the person he's become.
Inspiring.
And he's super resilient and just has so many great qualities that you don't even see it from your perspective. From what
As a
I'm hearing, is that it's
disability
even
yeah.
a disability that should be affecting him. You see it as, man, this was it was traumatic, but it's really created such a wonderful human in your brother.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, he would have turned out awesome either way, I feel like, but
Yeah.
I mean, it just, the person that he is, like, it's part of him, and
Yeah.
we can't change that. But like, until I met Terry, to be quite frank, it was never my trauma.
Yeah.
And like we talked about, and I've asked Terry to expand numerous times in our conversations, like, just tell me more about trauma. Like, when you think of trauma, I think of the experience that BK went through.
That's what most people
Not trauma that I had, because it wasn't my trauma. That's how I always have felt, right?
Yeah, people don't realize that like repeated things that you probably saw your brother go through throughout his life, those repeated things that you were feeling emotionally, that is actually trauma.
Yeah.
It's not this horrific event, and most people do think that.
Right.
And the thing that is hard for me to swallow is how we can minimize it.
Right.
Because we don't think, oh my gosh, well I didn't go through that, so I didn't experience any trauma.
Right.
We've talked about that.
We have a lot, because
Yeah.
that's just the experience that I've had. It's
Yeah.
but until I've heard Terry and her wisdom, it's like, well, people like own that. I'd always tell Terry, you own that too, because most people think like I think, 100%, and
Most
so
people.
100%, and it's like, well, yeah, everybody's got problems. Like, that's like the common thought in today's society. Well, everybody's got something going on. Like, why is mine different? For some people.
Minimizing it. Like,
Yes.
why should I bring attention to what's happened to me when it's not as bad as that?
Yeah.
But
A lot of people have it worse, yeah.
Yes,
But it's
actually,
also affected who you are.
Yeah,
today.
it
but
has.
it actually affects us,
Yes.
and your body doesn't know the difference whether it was.
You know what this is
super
bringing up, which is interesting, is when he was talking, I lived on a farm in South Dakota when I was young, at this age that he's talking about, with my brother. And we actually laugh it off now, is that we survived the farm, because my brother climbed up the windmill,
Yeah.
grabbed a hot wire, electrocuted himself, and then fell into the pig pen on the bottom. It was water. And luckily he didn't die, because he could have easily died. I was with him, but I was freaked out, and he's 2 years older. So I must have been like, I'm guessing 3. And I just left him there. Because I didn't know I didn't know what to do, so I just went in the house. My dad was in the house. They're like, he's like, "Where's Brian?" I'm like, he could have been drowning in the pig pen, and I didn't bother to even tell my dad. So then my dad comes outside. I still remember this very vividly. We go outside, and here comes my brother around the barn, pants down around his ankles, crying, bleeding from the head.
Oh my God.
And I remember him walking, and I remember my dad putting him in the bathtub, and the bathtub was just bloody water. It was red, bloody water. And I still remember that to this day. And then I got bit by a dog in the face. You can kind of still see my grandma's dog. I got bit, took a big chunk out of my face on the farm. And I had to have a whole bunch of stitches here, which was and I never even saw that as traumatic.
Yes.
Yeah.
We laugh it off now. We're like, hey, we survived the farm. Aren't we awesome? You know what I mean? But now that he said this, it's very possible that there is trauma associated with both of those incidents that I never dealt with.
Just like Gabor says, it's
Isn't
not
that weird? I never thought about it until he told his story.
It's
Never
not
thought
what
about it.
happens to you, it's what happens inside of you. And that emotion, highly charged.
My brother still has a huge scar on his head because he shaves his head now.
Oh, so you
he's got
can see it?
you can still see it.
Yeah.
It was like this long.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure he went to the doctor, to be honest with you. My dad's like, oh, just get up
some dirt on
and
it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
You'll be fine.
Which probably taught him to, I just got to man up and I just got to,
Yep.
I can't say anything.
Put on your
because
big boy pants.
Yeah, it's just
Yep.
like.
But anything highly charged emotion like that, your body just kind of takes a snapshot and remembers that. And it doesn't know whether that
Interesting.
event has happened way over there or something's
right
happening
now.
here.
Yeah.
It just can't distinguish the two.
And that's why stories resonate, because I never even thought about it until he shared his story.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned that you've been sharing it for the last 2 years.
Couple years, yeah.
So has that changed how you feel about it? Has that been helpful? Has talking about it?
I mean, it brings up, emotion, which I don't know. It's funny. I was tucking my kids into bed recently, and my youngest son Jake, who just turned 8 on Monday, he's like, "Dad, I've never seen you cry before. I want to see you cry." And so they're not going to watch this video. But I think, I think it has. It gives me more appreciation now that I have my own kids. Like, I just have so much appreciation for everything that my parents did, and we've been more open, or I've been more open about telling them about how awesome they were growing up. They're incredible grandparents. They were incredible parents, and I just never missed the chance to, again, tell them I love them and tell them that they're like the impact they had on all of us that they might not have realized is just tremendous.
Well, and Matt, thank you so much for sharing and just opening up to this. Vulnerability is a superpower.
Yes.
And you know what? Even being on this show, when we can do that, we actually give permission to other people to be able to feel that and feel those emotions. And I think it's so important that we connect to those emotions because they are part of us.
Well, and for a man,
Yes.
I mean, women, I think it's easier for us to, but I think it is harder for men, or not as comfortable. So thank you for that.
100%.
It matters.
It does.
You know what I mean? And
And
men have feelings too.
And that actually teaches your kids to be
Yes.
vulnerable. That
Yes.
it's okay to have emotion.
If it hurts, cry. You know, that's okay.
Yep, for sure. I mean, it's just, when people pass away, you're sad, and I mean, I certainly do cry when that stuff happens, but again, just, I guess maybe it was back to the early stuff. Like, the only time I really ever saw my dad cry was at that accident. And then there was actually several years down the road, BK fell off his bike and had a huge welt on his head and was unconscious. And that was the second time I saw my dad cry. But outside of that, I don't know that I ever did growing up. I can't that I can recall. And so it's just like, being the parents and watching it, like, now that I'm a parent, like, I can't imagine having to see one of my kids like in that state. Like, my wife and I were torn apart when one of our sons had to spend a couple days at Children's because of a kidney infection. Like, I was like,
Brings you back, probably.
100%. But I'm like, this isn't that bad, right? Again, I was always like, this isn't that bad. And so, just even.
See, and in that moment is when you have to say, it is okay for me to feel this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Right. I'm safe. It's okay.
And wondering where that's coming from, and that's that emotion is why it came back up.
Yeah.
Because it remembers that 3-year-old Matt that went through that with your brother.
Yeah, but I never saw my dad outside of that share those emotions, right? It was just like, again, resilient. Here's the cards you're dealt. This is what you have to do, and you just set the mind that you're going to do that, right?
And you just have such a huge heart of love. That's one thing I just really, really appreciate you, Matt. You just
Sometimes Dawn says it's a detriment that I give too much, but jokingly, she's like, you're just always the one to help. You're always the one to do this.
I think it is a great quality.
As long as it doesn't.
Well, and he's so wise in that way that you
can tell you can have boundaries.
For us, we've had issues with boundaries.
Yeah, me too.
And giving ourselves too much, being taken advantage of.
Sure.
And you don't do that. It's different. It's different. So what would you tell the audience if they've gone through a experience like this with family or they're just children, maybe, and they're minimizing and just not feeling the emotions or, trying to suppress it and just not maybe they don't even know how to move on.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing in my adult wisdom, when you're in it, it's much harder to realize it, right? Like, it's been, like, we're all grown up and we still have those experiences that we talk about. But the older I've gotten, the more I did realize. So when you're in it, it's like, oh, shoot, I don't have time to feel it because this is what we have to do, right? Just as a family and all of that. And so just take a breath, I think, is the first thing. Like, if something is hard, breathe. And it's okay to breathe. I know Terry is huge into meditation. It's okay to do that. Like, for the longest time, I thought that was weird. Let's be honest. I'm like, what are you? You're going to sit in a dark room and
about our 5-hour one
with Dr. Joe.
But to take that time and whether it's breath work or it's like, it really does kind of sedate you in a sense, and lets you feel the emotions that you have, right? And so up until I met Terry, I never did that in my life. And the more that I've done that, it's like it helps you reset.
It does.
It helps you understand the experiences that you have gone through. And I think that's one of the reasons that I've been able to talk about it more. Even though I still get emotional, obviously. But it's like, yeah, I think that would be the biggest thing is even if you don't understand it, take time and do some meditation, do some breath work, and just look within yourself to be like, oh, I can get through this, right? And it's I know it'd be hard to tell a kid that, but you know, teenagers, adults, that's something that it's okay to do.
It is okay to do.
All right.
My little granddaughter.
I was gonna say, the younger you could teach them, the
Yeah,
better.
my little granddaughter one time, I was just so amazed with her. We went on a ride, and it was really scary. We just went to like the fair up at Adams County Fair, and it was that one where you stand up and they put you on the thing and it spins.
Yeah.
I didn't let my kids
And
go on those
she
either.
was on it, and I just saw her get so scared, and I just thought, oh my gosh, this ride just started. We're gonna be on it, and I just was so worried about her. And in that moment, I saw her just kind of go within herself, and she just took this breath, and she started just she focused, and she just kind of meditated for a minute and got through it. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I was so impressed with her that she was able to go within herself and actually pull herself through that.
It's cool to witness.
It was so cool.
And from that side, I don't want to get into the medical side, but like, I feel like a lot of times if you go talk to a professional, they're going to put you on medicine, right?
Yeah. 100%.
Versus taking these other steps where like we all have the strength to deal with
Power within you.
the life that we have, right? And it doesn't always have to go, oh, I need to go talk to somebody to get put on a prescription.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I feel like that's the world we're going. We've
Yes.
been in for some time.
Yes.
And so, just taking the time to look within, and whatever that looks like for you, whether it's walking in nature, you know, meditating in a dark room, or whatever that is, take those steps for your own peace. And I think that's super important. Like, I think that's one of the reasons I love hunting so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Connecting with nature. That's
Dawn thinks I go extreme nature walking because very rarely do I come back with meat. But for me, my favorite part about it is the time of silence by myself with nobody else around for hours a day.
yeah.
And to me, like, that's when
It's actually medicine.
and that is my meditation. It's like, that's the time. And
Do you actually hunt anything, or are you just walking?
no, I hunt elk. Like I said, when you don't come back with me, I was like, oh, you were hiking for 7 days, right?
You caught a bunch of fish
Now do I
and
feel recharged?
catch and release.
You were supposed to bring home the meat.
But then I come back and I'm like, I could live in a tent year round out there.
Yeah.
And she's like, you can do that by yourself.
That would be me.
See ya.
But I also think that's helped me a lot.
Yeah.
Is that because I didn't hunt growing up. We all played sports, and my dad was not a hunter, so it's not something that we did. And when I moved to Colorado 10 years ago is when I always wanted to do it. I've always loved the outdoors, and I even have family members like, who are you? Why do we live in cities? But that's always been who the things I've enjoyed. And when I did start hunting, I think that was maybe that, now that we're having this conversation, maybe that's when I started to really
Connect with yourself.
connect with all of the stuff that happened, because you have so much time. You know, you're 12 hours a day when it's you thinking, like, you don't have cell phones.
Right.
You don't have, it's just you
You and you.
and you. And that's it.
And
so
that's
maybe,
the best place to be sometimes.
and so maybe now that I'm thinking about it, maybe that's when it truly started to like think about all the stuff that we've gone through, because it's like I think about literally everything.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's powerful.
Yes.
And you never know where your healing is going to come from.
Sure.
You know, you just don't. And then all of a sudden it shows up, and it's like, oh. And I think it's always trying to talk to us. You know, I always talk about those trauma loops, and I feel like it's always trying to communicate with us. And a lot of times we're just suppressing and not taking that time that solitude to just really be with ourselves. Because sometimes being with ourselves is scary.
It is.
Yeah. And so,
painful.
And it's easier not to deal with it
is,
sometimes.
it is.
Yeah.
It's easier to numb and disconnect and all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff until we were talking about the midlife awakening, you know,
Yeah.
until you start going through all this stuff in your life and it gets so painful that you're really forced to look at it. And hopefully it's not a diagnosis or things like that. But you talked about medicine, and I think that's the culture we've been fed to believe, is that, you know, you struggle with anxiety, you go get a medication, and
You have side effects, you take another
Right.
medication and another
and really,
medication.
I was getting more anxious and having more anxiety into panic attacks and having, I mean, I thought I was going to have a heart attack one time, and it was my first panic attack. So it wasn't helping me. And there's literature to say that we have the best medicine and we have more mental health issues today. And more
100%.
people on depression medications and anxiety meds, and it's not working.
Yeah.
So definitely coming within ourselves.
All aspects,
Yes.
health related.
Yes.
Just a pill to fix it, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Matt.
Yes, thank
for
you
sharing
very
your story.
much.
It was
It's
so
been good.
great. It's been really, really good.
I'm glad I was able to be here.
Yeah, I
Yes,
know it will resonate with someone, and even if it's just being able to be vulnerable and say,
Yes.
"Wow,"
Yeah.
you know.
And being able to share the story, it made me recognize something about myself
Yes,
that I didn't even think
exactly.
about.
Yeah.
So that is, maybe if anybody else out there is having a similar experience or has a similar, you know, you're like, hey, wait a minute, now that I'm thinking back, maybe that, you know, you can comment on the YouTube channel or on Spotify or anywhere, leave a comment. Subscribe, like, share it with somebody who might need to hear it. We'd love that.
Well, and even just sharing your own story, because
Yes.
you don't know how your story is going to help somebody else.
Yes.
100%.
And then, Matt, if people want to get in touch with you, how can they do that?
They can email me. I don't know if
Give
you
us
guys.
your-
Well, yeah,
Show notes.
we'll get it. We'll put it in the show notes.
Okay. Email, phone call at the office.
Do you work with people just in Denver or outside of Denver?
I work with people across the United States.
Okay,
I'm
great.
licensed in majority of states, but I mean, my philosophy is we might have gathered today, but is truly helping people. Right? In my business, money is emotional.
Yes,
Right.
very.
So that's the first thing. So I do jokingly say oftentimes I'm part psychologist, part emotional support, and I'm a financial advisor.
Yeah.
Because of all of those things. And just to share a quick anecdotal story here. My approach, I think, is about understanding, as Terry mentioned, like, who are you? What's important to you? And I engaged with somebody last week, and at the end of our meeting, he's like, man, I just want to say thank you. I'm like, for what, John? And he said, you just literally humanized this entire process. He's like, I've never experienced that before. The first meetings with people, I don't even talk about money. Like, oftentimes they want to come in like, well, here's my investments. What would you do with this? I'm like,
Slow down.
whoa, whoa, whoa. Who are you? And that's a lot of our meeting. And that's just the approach that I take because, frankly, if I don't understand who you are and what is important to you and what are your values and things of that nature, I can't make recommendations. Like, I'm not here to sell you something. I'm here to help you build out your future. And so that's the approach that
I remember you asking me that. Like, what is the life you want to see yourself living after you're not working?
Yes.
That was
You're
like
like,
one
huh?
of his first questions.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was just like, and this is really funny, and I'm gonna tell you this because we're on this podcast and we talk about trauma and coping mechanisms and all that stuff. And my coach caught it because I can't keep anything from him.
Of course he did.
But when you and I met at the hotel and we had our first one-on-one, I actually
In the lobby.
I actually downed a margarita with like extra tequila because I was just like, I didn't want to talk about money because
It's emotional.
It is
Yeah.
emotional.
Yeah.
And so when I got to our meeting, Dr. Ed's looking at me and he's like, "Is everything okay with you?" And he messaged me after, and I told him what I did, but it just goes to show
To try to
you
relax
coping
you.
mechanisms.
Yeah.
Yes, and how stuff was coming up in me, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm just gonna. And I realized then that you're just using this to numb and not really face this. And
Yeah.
So, but he made it really, really comfortable, and I thought, this is Matt. I don't have to do this in front of Matt.
Yeah.
And so that was really great because I didn't know how it was going to go, and my history with having to have those conversations was never really
There's
comfortable.
for me, a lot of times there's a lot of shame around it too.
Yes.
You know, and
Yes.
just a lot of feelings.
Yeah.
Shame. People have a lot of anxiety because they feel like, oh, I don't know what I don't know.
Exposing yourself
But I also like, what's this guy gonna sell me? Like, I
Yeah.
feel like that's a lot of the way people think, whether it's reality or not. It's just that's what we have in our mind that's
Yeah.
built in.
Yeah.
And so I try to break down those barriers early on.
Well, I used to think, who the heck are they to tell me that I should be putting my money here? I need my money now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now I'm like, I'm so glad that a 21-year-old girl told me about investing money early on. And so, yeah, Matt's great to be able to talk about that.
Thanks, Terry.
Thank you.
Yes,
That was
thank
awesome.
you
Yeah,
very
thanks so much for coming. We appreciate it.
Glad I could be here. Thanks for having me.
Like Terry said, if you have a similar experience or have a question or a comment below. We'd appreciate that. And we'll also have Matt's email in the show notes so you can contact him directly. Sounds like it'd be a great time.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see you
Bye.
next time.
Till
See you
next
next
time.
time.